7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 5 of What the Butler Said. I'm Paramedic293 and I'll be bringing you another week of my weekly talk show, talking about things that have gone on in the past week. But this week is going to be something a little bit different than usual. I decided earlier today that essentially what's going to happen from now on is every 5th episode is going to break the format a little bit. So rather than discussing 3 topics surrounding Tobog, in depth, I'm going to go over one big topic that I just want to discuss about this one time and just get talking with people on. Now, a few of you will know that I've been planning this for a while, but I'm going to be talking about game development today because a lot of you have been expressing interest in getting into this particular field in the past few days, and the past few days and weeks, and I'd like to give you guys some insight into what it's like to develop games and the sort of things I've experienced so far learning how to develop games in my own field. Now, I just want to give you a bit of a background story first, so there's no delusions over where I am in terms of my career. I'm in my 2nd year of game development at university, and I've never had a job in university. Prior to coming here, I never had any experience in coding or art or anything like that. I had absolutely no relevant experience in the industry whatsoever. Now that where I am, I've got a lot more experience and I know a lot more, and I've just been, this week I'm handing in an assignment I'm pretty proud of how it's turned out, and I'm pretty pleased with the progress I've made. But what I really want to discuss with you guys is whether this is the sort of career you want to go on, because I know a couple of you have been wondering about it but just don't really know just yet. So I'll just go into that in various different fields. Obviously, because it's a stream, you guys, if you're watching, ask me a question. Especially today, absolutely do feel free to ask me questions, as long as it's relevant to the topic and as long as it's mature. Don't be a dick about this. I am trying to help people out genuinely here. If you're interested in getting into game development at all, do ask me a question. I can't guarantee that I will be able to answer it. I will do my best, but I can't guarantee anything because of my limited experience. Anyway, with all that out the way, I'm going to just get stuck straight in. So, what I want to get out of the way first of all is this is an extremely tough field to get into. I think everyone underestimates it. This is very, very difficult. It's not just a matter of, building a game in Unity, slapping it on Steam Greenlight, and, being an overnight success. This is an extremely difficult field to get into. Actually getting a job in the games industry is nigh on impossible. Now, I'll tell you what they told us when we first started off in our course. There was, I think, 95 of us when we first started out our course. So that's about half by now, I just want to point out. But they told us that of those 95, only 5 of us are going to graduate into jobs in the gaming industry. Now, that leaves 90 of us who aren't going to get jobs in the gaming industry. So that should really illustrate to you just how tough it is to succeed in this industry. And if you're going in thinking to yourself you're going to get in super easy, it's not going to be a problem, you really are fooling yourself. Do not be that naive. Just do not be that naive. You need to be going into this with more realism. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that when graduating, or if you don't choose to go the uni route, you won't get a job at all. But even if you don't, you could go the independent route, which is what I'm probably going to go down. Now, obviously, this involves getting into the business side of things as well. You're kind of taking control of your own destiny by developing independent games and putting them on platforms like Android, iOS, PSN. Well, not PSN's not an independent platform, but they like their indie games. You're kind of taking your own fate into your own hands in every degree. Whereas with a AAA publisher, they do a lot of the work for you in terms of producing, publishing, getting physical shit out there. But when you're doing a game on your own, you will be doing all that your own, which is a lot of extra work, but it also gives you a lot more freedom. And freedom's it's very good in the games industry. It's the sort of thing you want, but only if you can, if you have the balls to use it, basically. So, with that out the way, that just explains like how hard it's going to get into. I also just want to point out that even with that being said, don't feel that you can't get into it because of a lack of experience. Do not feel that just because you don't know any coding or art or anything like that, that you just can't get into it. Because I didn't know any of those things when I first started out either. When I went to college, which, for those of you who aren't English, it was between 16 and 18. It's just what I went to after secondary school. When I went to college, I did health and social care, sociology and psychology. Those were my degrees, and to be honest, I did poorly in them. I did absolutely fucking dreadful in them. But here I am in my second year. I'm learning games development at university, and I think I'm doing quite well. You don't need experience to get started. You know, everyone's got to start somewhere. And the good thing is, there's a lot of universities who will offer courses to get into this sort of thing. And like, when you have no relevant experience, my university offered a foundation year course that meant I could get that saved. Seriously, my university course offered a foundation year, which meant I could get into the arena by learning like relevant skill sets. It was more of a generic technology foundation thing, so we learned basic programming, the fundamentals of maths, that sort of thing, and then we were allowed to move on to the first year of the course. And you know, it's not a rare thing. Most unis don't do it, but a lot will, because a lot want to get you in there and want to get you playing and building games. So, you know, there's always the opportunity. Even if you don't want to go to university, you can learn this stuff on your own. There's millions of tutorials out there online now on using Unity, Unreal Engine, scripting completely on your own. There's millions and millions of tutorials, and you've got help. There are people on this chat who can help you out with that sort of stuff. I would be willing to help you if you only ask me. You just need to get stuck in. Don't ever think that you can't get started just because of something like that. You know, it doesn't matter what your level of experience is, it doesn't matter what you're capable of, you can get into it. There's no problem. But you need to be ready to be getting into it full time. You can't just flirt with this. If you're going into this, you need to be ready to go into it all the way. This is not an industry you wander into slowly and then just go like, oh, you know what, I don't fancy this, I'm going to back out. No, you don't do that. You get it when you commit to game development, you properly commit to game development. You do not back out. So, hopefully I haven't scared you off a bit in those opening words, but yeah, I just wanted to be clear to everyone watching that this is not an easy field, and this is not something that you should be taking lightly, but at the same time, it's also something you shouldn't be deterred by. You need to have confidence in yourself. It doesn't matter how crap you think you are at this sort of thing. You develop skills. This is the point of education. You develop your skills. You get better, and you learn more, and then you can become amazing at it. When at some point you never knew anything until when. It's never too late. Doesn't matter how old you are, you can start learning this stuff, and it is a skill that will set you up for life. If you start learning programming, you can take that, you could take that forever into so many different fields. You could go work for a bank, you could go work for an insurance company, whatever. The work will be boring, but it will pay a lot better than it will in game development, that I can assure you. So you're not restricted to game development. Well, depending on exactly what you learn, you're not completely restricted to game development. If you've got programming knowledge, it will give you opportunities in other fields. Alright, so with that out of the way, I'm going to answer a question that Max has sent me on the chat right now. I'm just going to pause the game to read it. So Max has asked me if I've worked on multiple genres of games and which of one was my favourite. So I'll explain what I've done so far. My first game, which is for my first assignment in my first year, was a text-based RPG sort of game. Now, bearing in mind it was an assignment game, so it was only one encounter and fight. There was that. After that, I created it was a text-based Bejeweled Blitz game. After that, it was... What was the third thing? It was like we sort of created... And it was another text-based game. We created like a dungeon. Like a dungeon that you could maneuver around, and you had to like collect certain items to be able to get through to the end, and there were enemies that could hurt you by hitting you. Beyond the text-based realm, this year I've worked on two other sorts of games. One was an archery game for the iOS and Android. It was a mobile-based archery game. That was a lot of fun to work on. I just handed that in last Friday. Tomorrow I'm going to be handing in the game I'm most proud of so far, which is what I call Hot Potato Table Tennis. I will be uploading this to the site for those of you to be able to play, because I am quite proud of it, and I'd like to get some feedback from you guys on how it is. which was a 3D based game. It's a sports game. It's very simple, but I quite addictive. Given the feedback I've got, it's actually quite fun to play. So, you know, that's always good. Of all those, I gotta say, working on the sports games, because I would consider the table tennis and the archery games to be sports games, they were my favourite. And I know that's going to be a bit of a shock to some people, because they probably would expect me to say, like, oh, it was a shooter or an RPG or something. But I just find sports games incredibly satisfying to work with. Like, they are simple, but there's complexities to them that just make them quite interesting to me, and you learn a lot while making them. Just fundamental ideas about physics and you know, just other principles that just make you better as a game developer. That's not good. Please don't go. Yeah, thank God for that. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoyed making sports games, and I will continue to make them. Although I won't say they're not straight up sports games. They are sports games with a twist. I'm planning on doing a lot more of these sort of violent twist sports games. Like, I mean, in this one you've literally just got like a table tennis game where the ball is a fucking grenade. But I've got more ideas like bear wrestling and a rowing competition where like you've got cannons and shit. Yeah, I love doing that sort of thing, and I really enjoy working on it. So I hope that answered that question. Okay, so moving on, for just going in about the game development thing with the careers, I'll break down to I'll break down the different ideas you can get, the different sort of careers you can go into in the game development, because I think there's a bit of discrepancy over, you know, what sort of different jobs you can get in the game industry. The core two ones, if you're thinking about getting into game development as a generic branch term, the core different ones you'll be thinking of are either artist or programmer. Now, they won't always go by these terms. They will go by other terms depending on where you're going to university or whatever. But those two are like the core terms you need to be listening to, and they're quite, you know, obvious. Like they do what they say on the tin. An artist isn't just a drawer. They make things. They'll make things in 3D programs and 2D programs. They'll be very good with Photoshop, 3ds Max, Maya, that sort of thing, and they'll be creating assets to be used in the game. That's their job. Artists are much more in demand than programmers are, because there's a lot more programmers going around at the moment. But it's the sort of job you can only do, in my opinion, if you're naturally gifted at that sort of thing. Anyone can learn programming. I don't think anyone can learn to be a great artist. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, I learned how to use 3ds Max. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not naturally, you know, good at art, and I think that holds me back. I probably could learn to be significantly better, but I don't think I have the aptitude to be a game artist, and nor do I want to be honest. So I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's varied enough. If you're going into a job as a game artist, you're going to get a lot of opportunity to go out there, but you will also be working for companies for a lot less. Companies have a tendency to hire artists on a very short-term basis. They'll hire you for 6 months, get you to do your job, and then they'll get rid of you. No, this is just what I've been told by my teachers, and to me it makes sense, because you don't need to keep an artist on for the entire development cycle. You need them there to create the drawings, you need them there to create the assets, and then you don't need them anymore. You might need to bring them in a bit later on, so they do a bit of extra shit that you need that you didn't realise you needed at the beginning. But for the most part, the job is less secure than it is being a programmer. But again, if you're working as an independent development studio, that's not really a worry. You know, you don't really have to worry about that. So, because you know, if you're working in a small studio, you're likely to be there with friends, you're likely to be there with close colleagues, and they're not going to get rid of you. So, you know, you'll be there for a good reason. Yes, so that's artists. Artists, like I said, mostly 3D work, 3D modeling, 2D like textures and everything. Those are skills you will learn at university. But one thing I will say is, if you're going to go to a university course for being an artist, then you need to have a portfolio of your work ready. You can't just walk in and just go like, I want to be an artist, and they go like, great, join. No, you need to have some sort of background in it. You need to have like a portfolio of your work, suppose, you know, 2D, 3D drawings, whatever. I'm not an artist myself, so I can't tell you exactly what you need, but if you want to get into that sort of thing, you will need a portfolio of that work. You will need a portfolio of that work to get into it, so it's not something you can just waltz into. Now, like I said, I'm not an artist. I don't know much about being an artist, so I'm going to move on to programmer. That's what I am. I'm a programmer, and there's a lot more programmers out there than there is artists, and it's a very tough job, and it is very daunting to a lot of people to begin with. But it takes some people weeks, it takes some people months, it takes some people years, it could take some people a decade. But eventually, if you keep working at it, if you keep trying, it will eventually click, and you will find yourself being able to do things you never thought you'd ever be able to do with code, and being able to create amazing programs and games. And you will have a skill that will set you up for life. You could go on your entire life on that skill, earning so much money. You have no idea. I mean, if not for game development, if you went to work in like a hospital, for example, as a software engineer, you could be earning, up to six-figure salary, depending on how long you've worked in there and how valuable you are. You could be earning so much money. So it's a very great skill to have, an excellent skill to have. But as far as going for game development goes, it's you're in it for the passion. You're in it for money generally, because otherwise you like I said, you'd be working for a hospital or something. So yeah, programmers, well, they program. I mean, I'm sure most of you know what the fundamentals of what programming is. You're basically getting the assets and everything that the artists have made, and you're making them work in the game world. You would generally create the level, you would populate it with everything that you've been given, and you'd script everything to behave. You'd add in collision data, you'd put in sound effects. You wouldn't create the sound effects, that'd be like a sound engineer's job. You'd get the sound effects to work, you'd get everything to react to each other, you'd build the AI, etc, etc. There's a lot of work to be done in the programming sector. Hence why there's a lot more of them than there is of artists. There's a hell of a lot to be done there, and you specialise in different fields. You wouldn't just do one thing in programming. You would like specialise in a fair few things, and make sure you're really good at one particular field. And this could be like AI programmers are always in demand. This could be as a designer, so you're like kind of like bridging the gap between an artist and a programmer. It could be as a level like an environmental designer. It could be as someone who works on like implementing sound. There's all sorts of different jobs you can go to, and what you'll do is you'll learn a lot of them, but you'll specialize in a handful. You'll need to know like how each works to some degree, and you'll specialize in a few that you'll want to base your career on. What I want to do in terms of programming is level design. That's what I really want to get into, because when we did that in the first year, I really enjoyed it, and I want to keep working on that if possible. Although I would take any job I could, to be honest. I'm not going to be particularly fussy. But that's what I would get into ideally, because I find it very enjoyable personally. Sorry, I just need a moment to collect my thoughts. Oh god, that was an awfulness. So yeah, that's the two core types. There are other types, but I don't know a great deal about them. I mean, you've got your producers, your marketers, your sound engineers. I can't help you in regards to those, unfortunately, because I just don't know enough about them, what's involved with the job, or any specifics like that to really be able to tell you anything. I only know for the most part, about programming and a little bit about artists. So that's all I can really help you with right now. But just know there are other jobs available in the games industry if that's not the sort of thing you want to get into. Moving on from that, let's think. Alright, I think Max has actually sent me a couple of questions, so I'm going to pause the game and scroll back up. Alright, Max has asked me, do you think there's a similar demand for 2D concept artists as there is for 3D modelling? Do these roles tend to overlap? Yes, but the two kind of go hand in hand. It's like I said earlier, artists need to have an array of skills to be able to work in the games industry. But if this isn't really a case where you can be like, I'm a 2D artist, I'm a 3D artist. You need to know both, really, because you never know what's going to come up, and you never know what you're going to be making. Especially if you're working for an industry, especially if you're working for like a AAA company or an established company, you're going to need to know multiple things. Now, this could differ depending on what company you're in. Like, some companies literally just make 2D games, some just make 3D games. But on the whole, you will need skills in both. And yes, and I think that answers your other question. Yes, there is a lot of overlap. By the way, an additional thing, concept artists, that is like a job of its own, but a lot of people will do both. Like, they will do assets and they will do concept artists. Because, like I said, you need to know both. You can't just be one or the other. I don't know, that's career suicide. You shouldn't do that. Never specialize in too much. It's like I said, it's like the same thing with the programming. Just you're going to learn everything, but you're going to specialize in a couple of things. So yeah, the same applies to artists, more or less. All right, next question. In addition to my previous question, how in demand would you say that story and dialogue writers are for game development? And the importance they would have for very much genre. I will start this answer off by saying I don't know a great deal about this field. We don't really learn about this sort of thing. The thing is, from what I understand, generally games will be written by... Well, I think they're written by people within the company. But I honestly don't know. I'm struggling to think of anything to say on this, because frankly, I'm not the best source to talk about on this. I honestly don't know, Max. I can only give conjecture that I think that generally they're done. I don't think studios go around hiring particular people to do that. I think they sort of do it in-house. I'm kind of thinking of like Neil Druckmann at Naughty Dog. Like, he was the game director, but I'm pretty sure he also did the writing. Same with like Mass Effect. It was what was the guy's name? I can't remember his name, but the guy who wrote Mass Effect was also within the company, and he works for them. So, but yeah, that's what I think. I can't tell you 100% if that's true, but that's about as far as I know. All right. What else? Okay, once you get into it, I mean, if you decide at the end of this you want to get into it, etc., you don't ever be put off. Once you start working in the games industry, once you've started learning, once you started building, it can be slow at first, and you might struggle. And it highly likely you will struggle, because this is a difficult field to get into. It's a really difficult thing to start getting into and learning. But the more you do it, the more time you commit to it, the more time you put in. You will spend hours staring at an issue on a screen, not being able to fix it, not knowing how to fix it, and then suddenly it'll pop in and you realise, oh, it was a missing bracket, or something stupid like that. And then suddenly, bang, that's like 6 hours you wasted on like the simplest error at all. You're going to get pissed off, you're going to get frustrated, but this is the same with a lot of careers. You get pissed off, you get frustrated, you get angry. It's especially so with programming, but stick with it, and it will be worth it, because you'll start seeing the fruits of your labours coming out. They'll be getting better and better, and the more you build, the more you'll add to your games, the greater they will be. And it may, like I said earlier, it may take you weeks, it may take you months or days or a decade, but you will get there. If you put the time in, if you have the commitment, if you have the passion, you will get there, and you will start making amazing things. That's another thing I need to mention. Passion. You need... I can't think of the right word. You need, like, bucketfuls of passion. That's a good one. You need bucketfuls of passion. This is not an industry people go into for the money. Like I said earlier, if you want money, go and work for a hospital, go and work for a bank, go and work for an insurance company. They're always looking for software engineers, and they will pay you double what a game development studio will. If you're going into the game industry, you're not doing it for money. You are doing it because you are passionate about making games, because you're passionate about the industry. So do not go into this industry if you are not passionate. You need energy, enthusiasm. You need to be really on the ball. You need to be ready to commit large portions of your life to making this game, because of the end result. Not because of the money you're going to be paid, because of the end result. You need to be, I'm saying passionate a million times, you just need to be so passionate about what you're doing, about the work you are doing. And if you're not, if you don't have the commitment, if you don't have the energy or the enthusiasm, then, well, one, your end product's going to be shit. Two, no one's going to want to play it. And three, you're kind of just betraying yourself, really. I mean, like, you're getting into a creative industry and you're not being creative. At the end of the day, it's like an artist, it's like someone wants to become an artist and then, you know, just drawing stick figures and releasing them, and it's just like, you know, come on, people, this is blatantly obvious. I shouldn't have to be saying this. Passion, you need it. Do not go into this unless you have passion. If you're worried you don't have enough passion, give it a go. Get making a few games, start doing a few tutorials. You'll find out organically over time if you've got the passion, if you've got the commitment. You may not have it straight away, but if you keep working at it, you'll find that eventually it should come to you. If it doesn't, then stop. Then stop, because you're not in the right place, you're not in the right industry. But there's always a chance. There's always a chance you're going to get there. What else? What else? Okay, I'll just moving on from that point. Just continuing to go on the passion thing. I've seen people during my course. It's like I said earlier. 95 of us came onto this course, and a year and a half later, not even that long, there's less than half of us. There was a handful who were like, you know, they kind of came and expected us to just be playing games every day. They're morons. They're absolute morons. They are not the sort of people you want to be hanging out with or have anything to do with. They're fucking idiots. There were a handful of people who for who it was just too much, you know, and they just couldn't do it. That's just fair enough. Not everyone can. Not everyone can get into it. But most of them left because of a lack of passion and because they didn't put in enough effort to their work. Even the assignments that seem just crap and like they're pointless, you need to put passion into. You need to try. You need to give everything, because if you don't, then why should anyone care? If you're not going to put in the effort to create something, why should anyone put in the effort to give a crap? You know, you're all consumers. If you want to be a developer, you're also a consumer. And if you're a consumer, you know what you want. You know the level of quality you want. And you can tell when you play a game that there's just no passion in it, that there's no desire or enthusiasm. You know that that's the case. So, just when you're developing, just, you know, just don't be like that. Put in passion, put in enthusiasm. There is another point I've got in my mind. It keeps passing my mind and then disappearing while I'm talking. Crap, what was it? Oh, right, I remember. Okay, I should have probably mentioned this earlier when I was talking about how tough the games industry is, but one thing you have to know is you will be working very, very long hours. Now, if you want more information on this, I'm going to heavily suggest you watch Indie Game the Movie. It's free to watch on Netflix. I also believe there's a sequel. I haven't seen the sequel myself, but watching that movie is very helpful. It follows the development of, Braid, Super Meat Boy, and Fez. And if you listen to, there's a particular segment that the developers of Super Meat Boy talk about, where they talk about the hours they work. There was only 2 of them on that development team. The hours they work, you know, it's obscene, quite frankly. It borderlines on slave labour. Game developers in crunch time will work 18-hour days. They will work Saturdays. They'll get 1 day off a week. They will go for so long at a time without seeing their family. They will be eating instant noodles to survive. They will, you know, when the time comes when you've got to get a game out and you've got to get going and you've got to get going, it is so tough. It will stretch the limits of your human soul, to be honest with you. Luckily, I myself have not experienced that yet, but I will have to if I want to persist in this career. As I'm only at university, it's not really been an issue so far, but when you get out there, when you get making games, it's going to consume your life, and you need to be ready to give your life over to it. Again, it's a career driven by passion. You need to deliver that passion. Because if you don't, you're going to break down in about a week's time. Because it is so much work to get done, so much effort. And you have to be ready to commit. Okay. I'm going to start playing another match. Anyway, I've been off for a while. I just wanted to get all that sorted. Actually, fuck Rumble. Let's do it. What's that? Aquadome. So yeah, what else? I'm not going to go... if anyone was tuning in hoping to hear, like... if anyone was going in and, like, hoping to hear, like, practical information, that's not the sort of thing I want to cover in this. I don't want to talk about, like, how to program or how to script or how to draw or whatever. That's not really what I want to get across in this video. All I really want to talk about is what the industry's like in my experience. Like, if you should get into it, how you should get into it, etc, etc. I don't want to talk about actual practical shit. You know, if you want to learn about that, I am happy to help you in my own time, but my stuff has to come first. You know, if you need help with programming, whatever, I will be happy to help you. But I'm not going to cover that in the stream. It's not really something I can do in a stream, to be honest. That's not really the sort of thing I can cover. Right, well, Eggs has brought up a question that's actually legit for once. Any advice on general UK application? I'm going to extend that to cover just general applications in general. When you're applying to take on a course, to do game development or something like that, you know, if you don't have experience in a thing, that's fine. They're not expecting experience. Unless you're applying straight to a game development company with no experience, which, I mean, why the hell are you doing that, you know? But just be yourself, I guess, you know, just be honest with them. There's no point lying. Don't say you've got skills you don't have, because you will come to regret it. This isn't a case of where it's like you apply to a job and say, oh, I'm really good at Microsoft Excel, and it's just like, okay, cool, whatever. But like, if you say you can do programming and you can't, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. You need to be completely honest. You need to be 100% completely honest about what you can do and what you're capable of and what you intend to learn. They will understand. Everyone had to start from somewhere. Everyone had to know where they came. Everyone like started with no knowledge, and that's perfectly fine. You just need that's fine. You just need to accept that. Most places will be perfectly understanding. Not all, most. Other than that, just like just be, like I said, just be honest. I can't offer much better advice than that in terms of like actually writing applications. If your uni is asking for like a portfolio of work or some sort of, you know, just like, I know, I guess portfolio is the only word for it really. If they're asking for work, you know, they'll ask for something, they'll ask specifically what they want from you. I'll use MT's application, his portfolio, as an example. They wanted, I think it was 5 out of a possible 10 things they said. It included like a drawing of a character, a game, like a short, some screenshots of a game you've made, some screenshots of a 3D model you'd made, a writing of a story, like just general creative works. Try to have before you apply, try to have a few of these on hand and make sure they're high quality. Just don't just go around like posting like, you know, your posts for Tobog All-Stars Battle Royale, you know. They're not going to be good enough. You need relevance, you need high quality. If you don't have to program or anything, then ask for help. Like, I'm helping MT out with his portfolio at the moment. He hasn't asked me for my help for a while, but I have been helping him. I've been helping him script in Unity. Even if you don't need help, just get on the tutorials. They're very straightforward. They're very helpful. They'll teach you how to do it. Just make a basic game. Make a basic game. Throw in a few of your own touches and flares, and you know, there you go. You've got your 3D game. Just try and always have a few of these on hand when you're applying. If you're applying to the sort of place that's like I did, where it's like, you know, we're going to teach you everything anyway, then you won't need that sort of thing because, well, you're going on an extra year that's going to teach you that sort of thing, which is great, which is what I did. I found it simpler that way. I prefer doing it that way. But if not, try and have a portfolio of shit just to show them and ready to hand in, and keep them constantly updated as well. Don't let them stagnate. The more you learn, the more you add to it. That's, you know, just the same as with anything in life. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that about wraps up the game development part. Unless anyone has any other questions, I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head. No, I'm pretty sure that well covers it. If you've got any additional questions after this, then just message me on the chat. I'll try and answer the best I can, if I can. As long as it's relevant, as long as it's mature, I will do my best to help you out, because I genuinely do want to help people out here, rather than, you know, people being cunts on the chats. Won't name any names. Yeah, so with that out of the way, I'm going to move on to just some housekeeping before I wrap up. We've got a bit of a busy weekend here at Tvog now. Starting off, tomorrow we've got the GTA Winter Games continuing. We've got the shooting and the sumo event. They're both at 6 CST, so all GTA players turn up to that. That'll be pretty swell. Friday, it continues again with the C race. That's also at 6 CST. Saturday is the big one that you should be focusing on. We're gonna play Osu. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I guess it is Osu. That's the first flavour of the month thing we've done. That's the first flavour of the month thing we're doing this December. It was picked by Towboy. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, it's a free-to-play rhythm-based game. You can download it anytime you want. It's completely free to download. You don't need to worry about that. Anyone can get involved as soon as you want. So I would stress that you all give it a go, because we need to try some more different games together, and it sounds very unique and fun. I haven't downloaded it myself yet, but I will before this weekend. Saturday at 7 EST is when we'll be doing that. So I hope as many of you are going to turn up to that as possible, and we'll get going into it, and we'll get trying out, and I'm eager to try out something new. It's pretty cool. Also this weekend we'll be starting up a new round of the Tabog All-Stars matchups. The first two results will be announced on Saturday morning, and then I'll announce the next two matchups at the same time, and then we'll be able to get working on those. I don't have anyone who's going to write the literature yet, but if anyone is going to volunteer to write the literature, tell me you're solely at some point soon. You know, we'll need people to start writing as of Saturday, but ideally I would like one per battle. Like, say for example, if Law writes the one for Magneto vs Bayonetta and Max writes the other one, I would prefer it that way. But if one person does both, I don't mind. You can do that if you want. But come to me and tell me if you want to write. Otherwise, I'll track you down and I will ask you individually. But I'd rather you just came to me and said, because I hope some people are eager about this. So we'll be starting a new round of matchups Saturday. Anything else? Radek's supposed to have done his quiz night by now. It's about 3 weeks late. I honestly don't know when he's doing that, if at all anymore. But maybe look out for that this weekend. I don't know. I'll track him down and ask him about it. Maybe he will. I don't know. I'm hoping to bring you information about the Christmas party within the next week as well. I don't really have apart from Max's idea about like a Christmas themed short story contest. I don't really have anything else planned at the moment, but I'm going to get on that. Once my assignment's handed in tomorrow, I'll have a lot more free time, and I'll get on planning that. I'll get on deciding how that's going to work, and I will bring you some information on that as soon as possible. Is there anything else I need to tell you? I'm just going to check the site quickly just to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Bear with me a second. Maximize, you fucking cunt. Nope, I think that more or less covers it. Oh, there is a new poll I've put on the front page of the site for who you think is going to win All-Stars. So just go and vote on that when you're ready. Oh, I'll probably also make an announcement about Member of the Month's future within the next week or so. I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do with it. I just need to ratify it with Solly and Quick, and then I'll get that information out to you as soon as possible. Other than that, that's it for now. Again, like I said earlier, if you have any questions about gaming and if you want to talk to me in private about it, then please do message me, and I will help you out the best I can. I hope this has been helpful for those of you who want to get into game development. Apologise if it wasn't. I have tried my best to cover as many bases as I can that I thought were relevant. But other than that, yeah, thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 5. We'll be returning back to the normal format next week, where we'll be talking about 3 regular things. I don't know if you will call it at the beginning, but every 5th episode is going to be like this. We're going to talk about one big thing rather than 3 smaller things. We'll be returning back to normal for the next 4 episodes. Should come back next Tuesday as usual. But yeah, that's it. That is it. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week, and until then, I'll see you later.